distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends. It's a matter of great privilege for me to welcome you all to the launching ceremony of the book, Manhattan to Munnar, authored by Anantinee JHUMPA Mishra and published by Invincible Publishers. Jhumpa, as Anantinee is affectionately called, is a student of class 7. I've had the joy of watching her grow from a shy little girl to a confident 11-year-old, pursuing her passion for reading and writing. At an age when most kids need help to write their school essays, Anantinee has published her second book. The first one, Treasure of Short Stories, was published when she was just 10. Anantinee has been conferred with many awards and honors for her literary pursuits. She has been honored with the title of a prodigy author and is a recipient of an honorary diploma conferred on her by the Honorable Vice President, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, at the 39th Congress of Poets. At the Gurgaon Literary Festival held recently, she was honored with the Young Achievers Award. She has also been honored as the youngest author of India by the Delhi Book Fair and the World Academy of Arts and Culture, based in the USA. Anantinee is one of the youngest TED speakers from India, a pointer to her good oratory skills. At school, her high academic ability is borne by the gold medals she has won at various mathematics and English Olympiads. She is the topper of the Spell Bee exam in the Delhi NCR region. She has been the head girl of the primary section of the school, APJ Saket, is the recipient of the Star Child of the School Award and the Best Human Values Award. Anantinee aspires to become an IAS officer and a renowned writer. The book Manhattan to Munnar, published by Invincible Publishers, is set in 13 sections with a prologue and an epilogue and runs into some 170 pages. It's a story of two sisters, Veera and Samira, who form an unbreakable bond with siblings Sid and Rohan. It's a story about loyalty, friendship, strength, dilemmas, turmoils, and mending of a broken heart as seen from the eyes of an 11-year-old. And now for the ceremony, I invite our esteemed guests to please take their seats on the dais. And before that, I would like to express my gratitude to them for consenting to be a part of this occasion. Shri Manishankar Iyer ji, Shri Pinaki Mishra ji, and Shri Sasmit Patra ji. Please take your seats on the dais. I did. It wasn't audible?
Well, Mani found it a little
soft. Oh, Acha, you couldn't hear me?
I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I need to speak a bit.
ramped up a little.
Oh.
Yeah, it should be ramped up a little bit.
It is said of leaders that they are leaders not only because of their knowledge in the area, but because they are not afraid to question, to imagine, to dream, and to believe. They are not afraid to act, even if their actions might not result in success. Our guests this evening are not only at the top of their professions, but also embody all these qualities. And who can be better placed than them to inspire young Anantinee, who has just embarked on her journey as a writer. I now request Jhumpa to please facilitate the guests by offering a sampling to them. Shri Manishankar Iyer ji needs no introduction, a diplomat, politician, and government official who, after a distinguished foreign service career, became a senior leader in the Indian National Congress. As a former union minister, he has held important portfolios like the Panchayati Raj, petroleum and natural gas, youth affairs and sports, and development of northeastern region. In 2010, he was nominated to the Rajya Sabha in recognition of his expertise in the social services and his literary accomplishments. He has a formidable reputation as an orator, is a prolific columnist, and an authority on South Asian politics. We welcome you again, sir. Dr. Pinaki Mishra is an honorable member of Lok Sabha. This is his third term as a parliamentarian. A graduate of St. Stephen's College and Faculty of Law, Delhi University, Shri Mishra is a lawyer by profession. He has a special interest in music, arts, literature, and sports. He has traveled widely and is known for his oratory skills. Welcome you once again, sir. Dr. Satsmit Patra, an honorable member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Dr. Patra, an honorable member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, did his MBA and PhD from Allahabad University in organizational behavior. An academic turned politician, Dr. Patra is a professor at Xavier's University, Bhubaneswar. He is known for his interest in the arts and culture and for his commendable oratory skills. Welcome, sir, once again. And I now call upon the star of the evening, Anantinee, to share her thoughts on writing and on her book.
Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityo ma amaritgamaya, om saha navatu, saha no bhunaktu, saha viryam karvavahe, tejasvinavadhi tamastu. Om shanti shanti shanti. Namaskar. My greetings to all the eminent dignitaries on the dais and all the guests. I am privileged to have Mani Shankar sir, Pinaki sir, and Sasmit sir with me for the release of my second book. I had a feeling of immense joy and nervousness as I was standing in the same position last year for the release of my first book, The Treasure of Short Stories, which was a compilation of 14 short stories. The sense of thrill, the feeling of excitement, as well as the nervousness of goofing up has anything but changed. I am often asked whether it was more pleasurable to write a compilation of short stories or a novel. For me, both were equally enjoyable as anything with which you can put forward your perspective with the help of imaginary characters. Their personalities is divine. You do have the liberty to get into more detail regarding the plot, the characters, their personalities in a novel, but the limitation to be straightforward, straight to the point in a short story. Manhattan to Munnar. It's very close to my heart. It's a story of a family migrating from New York to New Delhi. It's a story of the mixed emotions of joy at having been able to reunite with their relatives and sadness at being able to part with a place they had called home for so many years. It's a story of Veera, a 16-year-old protagonist of the story as she battles with fate, which is probably the antagonist of the story. Veera experiences friendship at the most unexpected time as well as the need to stay strong, to stay tough in the most difficult of situations. She, along with her sister Samira and her best friends Sid and Rohan, navigates through the ups and downs of teenage. I loved writing the book, from the first word of the prologue to the last word of the epilogue. I loved writing the book, from the first word of the prologue to the last word of the epilogue. There were certain parts that got me fits of uncontrollable laughter or maybe unstoppable tears. There were portions which were very difficult for me to write as I had no idea what a person experiences when they are in a tragic situation. Whenever I'm in talks with someone regarding my passion for literature, the most common question I'm asked to answer is, Anantinee, how do you able to manage time for writing all the while managing your studies? Well, I firmly believe that if you're truly dedicated and truly committed towards anything, be it sports, music, art, literature, anything, now you don't have to manage anything. It gets managed on its own accord. It does become hectic at times to deal with the overload of 7 standard studies as well as writing, but I don't think it has never ever become tiring for me. I'm also asked if, I don't know, I'm being forced or pressurized into writing by mama or baba. I believe that the skill, the art of writing is purely natural. As they say, it is God gifted. It cannot be forced, pressurized, or maybe even processed. Sometimes it gets really difficult to put the feelings you have in mind to words on paper. You're just not able to connect with what you want to write and what you are writing. Believe me that connectivity is very important. I have commonly faced this problem, or rather should I say challenge. It so happens that sometimes in a span of about 5 minutes, I'm able to write 500 words and sometimes not even 5 words. Perhaps these are the challenges one faces during creative writing. But if there are challenges, then there are motivations to keep you going as well. I was conferred upon with numerous accolades and felicitations which kept me going. They encouraged me to continue when I just wanted to keep my pen down and not continuing anymore. As someone has very famously said, when there is a will, there is a way. Jahan chaha hai, wahan raha hai. I have many inspirations, be it famous authors or maybe some books I just fell in love with, or reading a few lines that gave me a much required boost. But above all, there is not a better charge up than sitting with my mom and talking with her. That's the place I feel the most comfortable with. The Treasure of Short Stories was a compilation of 14 short stories which were somewhere related to me. Manhattan to Munnar, meanwhile, is a completely new sea for me to explore. It contains emotions, feelings, situations, and circumstances which I think, fortunate enough not to have experienced. Both the books are similar and different at the same time. Similar in the sense that despite not experiencing the situations described in the book, I feel a connect to the characters the same way I did in Treasure of Short Stories. Different in the sense that the first book contained 14 distinct stories, while Manhattan to Munnar has a connect between each chapter. I would like to say that it has been a roller coaster ride writing Manhattan to Munnar, right since deciding on the plot, naming the characters, penning down my thoughts, all the way till emailing the final draft to the publishers. There were points where I wanted to give up, but I continued writing, keeping in mind my final goal, to connect my work with the name Anantinee. I still remember that I have milestones to conquer, and this is just the beginning of my journey. I remember that I have gotten a golden opportunity to prove and improve my passion. Finally, I'd like to thank all of you for sparing your valuable time. I would like to thank Invincible team, Ajay Uncle, for supporting me throughout this journey, as well as agreeing to publish both the books. I would like to thank all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais for their presence today, which is such a big day for me. And last but not the least, I'd like to thank Poonam Aunty for agreeing to moderate this event. Thank you, Poonam Aunty, and over to you now.
Thank you, Jhumpa. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Sonal Man Singh ji in our midst today. Jhumpa, I request you to felicitate her with this sapling. Dr. Sonal Man Singh ji's name is synonymous with Odissi, a dance form that originated in Odisha. She, however, did not limit herself to Odissi. She, however, did not limit herself to Odissi and explored other styles, Kuchipudi, Manipuri, and Bharatnatyam. Apart from being a dancer, she is also a teacher, researcher, and a choreographer. Her choreography is often rooted in Indian mythology and in contemporary issues of women and environment. Sonal Man Singh ji was nominated to the Rajya Sabha in 2018 in recognition of her lifelong dedication to India's arts. She is the recipient of Padma Vibhushan and Padma Bhushan. She has been nominated as a Navratna for the Swachh Bharat mission by none other than the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Welcome, ma'am, once again. I now request Dr. Pinaki Mishra ji to say a few words on the occasion.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Legendary dancers Padma Vibhushan Sonal Man Singh ji, distinguished former diplomat, politician, well-known author, laureate Manishankar Iyer ji, my distinguished colleague in the Rajya Sabha from the Biju Janata Dal, Dr. Sasmit Patra. Last but not the least, of course, the star of the evening, Anantinee Mishra. And all the distinguished gathering here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm obviously delighted to be here, to be part of, I'm sure, what is going to turn out to be a fairly routine event in the years ahead. I think the prolific writing that young Anantinee is capable of has churned out 2 books in 2 years in a period when she should be struggling with writing school essays. She is churning out book after book, year after year, and therefore I feel that she clearly has it in her to bring out many more books in the coming years, and therefore we will be hearing much more about her. We will be reading much more about her, and we will be privy and I think witness to her growing stature as an author, both in India and abroad. The space for English authors in India has, of course, now grown immeasurably. There was a time when people like Manishankar ji were few and far between in terms of people who could actually pen something in English and people read about it or read it. My sister-in-law now runs the Jaipur Literature Festival, Namita Gokhale. She's a co-founder of the Jaipur Literature Festival, and I'm amazed at the kind of literature that Indians are now producing year after year, and the Jaipur Literature Festival has become one of the great sort of caravans for the success, the enormous success that these English writers in India have now begun to achieve. And I have no doubt that before too long, Anantinee is going to be part of that caravan as well, be part of the Jaipur Literature Festival, as she has already been part of the Gurgaon Literature Festival, the Delhi Literature Festival. So I have no doubt that she's going to adorn many of these literature festivals in the years ahead and be a very important figure in the entire spectrum of English writing authors in India. They've got great acclaim now all over the world. Uh, Many of the names are now household names globally. And therefore, I believe that there is a vast spectrum out there which is waiting to be exploited by authors in India writing in English. And therefore, Anantinee has begun her odyssey, as it were, at a very opportune time for her. It's incredible that she should have started so young, but I find that child prodigies now are increasingly the order of the day. Every day we are astonished at my age to see how these children at 10, 11, 12, not even into their teens, are able to accomplish so much more than we could ever have dreamt of in our age. But I guess then their exposure is so much more fascinating than we were ever exposed to at our age, at their age when we were young. I've had the occasion to speed read through the book. There are parts of it which are pretty dark. There are parts of it which are sad. The particular passage where this letter is written to her about the sinking of this carrier Eureka, I thought was particularly poignant and great reminder of what the survivors on the Titanic must have felt when they read about their near and dear ones going down. And for someone so young to be able to come to grips with something as dark as this, with something as sad and poignant as this, is both remarkable and I would say also a little worrisome for me, because I think she's far too young to be exposed to this kind of sadness in life. This is a time for joie de vivre, as it were. This is a time to be happy, to be optimistic, to only think about happiness and joy. And therefore, I want Anantinee to enjoy her childhood in its fullness without being exposed to some of the vicissitudes of fortune, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, which all of us have to face later on in life. I think those are things that children must not be exposed to too early on. But I guess the mind of an author is like a completely fathomless ocean. It's impossible to curtail it. All I can say is that I'm delighted to be here for the book being launched today. A very distinguished gathering on the dais. Sonalji is, of course, a legend who has adorned the Indian art firmament so magnificently that nothing can describe her accomplishments. She has a Odia connection, and we are the richer for it. Manishankarji similarly has, again adorned the Indian firmament in so many different avatars. And I think his ability to be self-deprecatory and to laugh at himself is something that everybody in public life must actually begin to imbibe and begin to make second nature to us. And therefore, I'm delighted. Dr. Patra himself, again, very erudite, exceptionally well-read, very commendable performance in his first term in Parliament. So I'm very delighted to be part of this very august, gathering on the dais, which has got together to bless young Anantinee. All our blessings are with her, and I wish her all success. And I know that this is going to be the first of many great successes that she will have in future. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you very much for having invited me here.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for those very kind words. I now request the guests seated on the dais to formally release the book Manhattan to Munnar by Anantinee JHUMPA Mishra, published by Invincible Publishers. I now invite Guru Dr. Sonal Man Singh Ji to the podium to say a few words on the occasion.
Namaskar. Jai Jagannatha. Bahut bhal laguchi mate dakichanti. I am very happy to be here at this very unusual book launch. Usually the book launches are of authors who are of a certain age, at least 40, 50 years old, and the books are quite thick. Recently, I think in Nehru Memorial Library, there was a huge volume on Veer Savarkar, and even to hold the book and to open the paper and to hold it was a task. Her book, although I think she is much taller than her age, am I right? Yes. I couldn't believe that she's 10, 11, what? Just turned 12, my God. When was I just turned 12? And her very thoughtful face and very deep eyes. As soon as I came, I noticed that and I said, there is something really very special about her. I would like to congratulate her Kunima grandmother. I think she's sitting there, is she? No? That's what.
She's a member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha.
Oh, I didn't know that. Lok Sabha, so I wouldn't know.
She's the member of parliament from Aska.
Okay. Namaskar, Agya. And her.
Self-help group, she's one of the pioneers of the self-help group.
She should be here. Yeah, wonderful. And I commend her parents, her mother and father, for supporting her so beautifully, because very often the young talents, the young prodigies, after a little while, the first book, sort of they began to veer away and to do other things. From what I can see, when her parents came to invite me, Shri and Srimati Padhi, there are two different surnames, I think, but anyway, Naina Padhi and husband. I thought that this young lady, will really go very far, because they are so much into their daughter's mind space, let me call that. What she's thinking, how she's writing, even the title Manhattan to Munnar. Many people wouldn't even know where is Munnar. Munnar is in Kerala and Manhattan is in USA. So her mind, her imagination travels across the globe, across continents. I haven't had much time to read the book. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm going to read as soon as the session is over on 13th. And then I promise I'm going to read and I'm going to call you and tell you what all I've read. Yes? Look at her face, so serious, my God. I mean, we laugh much more in the parliament. This lady really makes me feel that, maybe, but as Sri Pinaki Mishra ji said, that there is a time to be joyous, there is a time to play, there is a time to enjoy, and I'm sure you are doing that, young lady. Yes? Good, thank you. So don't be too serious. Not?
My parents don't permit me to get
Wonderful. She says, my parents don't permit me to be too serious. I congratulate the parents and keep that up. Yes. Because the balancing of emotions is very important, and as she will enter her teens next year, then the emotional turmoil, the biological turmoil begins. And that is the time that she will experience different sentiments, different moods. I would like to read her book after she has entered her teens. Yes. So that means that she will write maybe when you're 14, not 13. It will give you time to sort of settle down in your teens. It's wonderful. I wish her great future. And as Pinaki Babu said, that writing in English, especially by young authors, and maybe she's the youngest, is really unique, very rare, needs to be encouraged by everyone. And Uncle Mani Shankar Iyer is here. He is happily unaware of what I'm saying because he's forgotten his... And Mani and I are very old friends. He's even run the... he's been my technical manager, so to speak, when he was in foreign service, when I was dancing in Europe all over. And he had organized programs wherever he was posted. And he supported me a lot. And I thank Mani for that. So, Sasmit Babu is in Rajya Sabha, Sasmit Patraji, and I'm very, very happy to say that the Odia MPs in Rajya Sabha are a very distinguished lot. And I'm very happy that from the age of, let's say from 1965, when I first went to learn Orisi from Guru Kelucharan Mahapatraji, Kelu sir. That was in 1965. I won't tell you how old I was, but I was quite old. And my connection with Orissa was very, very firm. It remained firm, and it has remained firm. It is still firm. I'm very, very proud to be. And Dharmendra Pradhan said, Amara Oriya Bahu. I said, sorry, I was Oriya Bahu, now I'm Oriya Jia. I'm the daughter of Orissa, not daughter-in-law. So, once again, may Jagannatha, Subhadra, Balabhadra bless this charming, seriously charming, brilliant young lady, and may she be blessed, and may she enrich our literature in a very different way. Once again, compliments to parents, compliment to the young lady, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your blessings and good wishes. May I now request Shri Mani Shankar Iyer ji to please come to the podium and share his thoughts on the occasion.
Anantinee, Sonal, Pinaki, and the nice Mr. Patra we have on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it really is a privilege to share the stage not with just one child prodigy, but two. I have only just been introduced to Anantinee's work, and I must say it's extremely impressive. And I only wish her parents had come to see me a couple of days earlier, because I've barely had the time since yesterday to read a few pages of her second novel. And it's astonishing that a girl of her age is able to conceive of a plot that is as interesting as the plot of this book, to devise conversations that sound authentic for children, for older people, for people in a crisis, for the resolution of the crisis. And then I didn't hear, but I read her speech, which indicated that she has imagined many of the experiences that are recounted in this book, which she herself has never been through. Now that, I think, is a first in literature that I have ever come across. That you are able to imagine plots and characters and conversations is of course par for the course, but to imagine emotions, to imagine mental conflicts, to imagine ways of reconciling them without ever having had to experience anything like what she is describing is truly the sign of genius. And I have little doubt, well, I join about 1 million others in having little doubt that we have in Anantinee a true child prodigy. And I'm sure that all of us would want to wish her all the very best in the coming years. Before I go on to describing further Anantinee and what I think needs to be done to nurture her exceptional talent, I would like to mention the other prodigy on the stage, and that is Sonal, whom I first saw at probably one of her earliest dance performances in the national capital. I see that she acknowledged that, but she failed to add that I am also her dancing guru. I taught her how to do the foxtrot in a nightclub in Brussels. And now that she is such a distinguished member of the Rajya Sabha, I don't think she wants this sleazy past to be recounted in public. But the fact of the matter is that I did do a very good job of nurturing her talent. So what she learned from me about the foxtrot on the dance floor, she led her to take up Odissi as her new dance form. I'll never ever forget that this totally budding, just about to get onto the stage artist, Sonal Mansingh in 1965, was sitting with me in the theatre in Luxembourg when Ravi Shankar and Ala Raja were performing on the stage. And there was wild applause. And I turned to Sonal and I said, it's fantastic that this audience is so excited. And her reaction was, just wait until I get on the stage. That is the kind of self-confidence. That is the kind of self-confidence that I think I see again in this young child. She knows that she is in command of her story. She knows that she has the words, this extraordinary vocabulary at the age of 11, to be able to express what she wants to say without being either constrained by her vocabulary or by any sense that she'd sound pompous if she used the range of her vocabulary. And therefore, I'm convinced that we have here present among us a rare talent that is going to take the country by storm in due course. And why do I say in due course? It's not because she has not revealed her talent at this stage, this young stage, but that any talent and every talent, and I'm sure the talented Mrs. Mansingh will more than agree with me, requires nurturing. You require somebody who has longer experience, is perhaps a greater experience in the field to teach you. And that is why in Indian culture, certainly, the guru has as important a status as Sonal has acknowledged in her own growing up as a dancer. And now that age has overtaken me, but not her, she has turned from being an active dancer, she dances sometimes, into a guru. And so she is nurturing the next generation of great artists in the various different dance styles in which I've known her. In fact, I'll confess to all of you that there are two Sonals that I know. One, a friend with a rather impish sense of humor, and the other, the artist that I see on the stage. And I've never ever been able to relate the one to the other in the 50 or 60 years that I have known Sonal. She is another personality on the stage. She's quite a different person, a very normal person when she is with you in a social gathering or in a personal conversation. And that ability to be both an ordinary person as well as a stunning star is what I hope you will be able to cultivate as you go down the road. Because I did ask your mother and your grandfather when I met them yesterday as to how you spend your time. And they said that you're always on the computer. So I said, but don't you get her to take time off? And their reply has left me stunned and speechless, because they said that Anantinee has never attained 99%. She's attained 100% always in every subject. So they said that when she's doing so well in her studies, then how can we crimp her when she's at the computer writing her stories? Well, if they can't crimp you, I think you should crimp yourself. Because to become a rounded personality, you have to have friends, you have to have a social life, you need to be out in the fields playing very badly like me or excellently like Pinaki, but playing so that you learn you learn the rules of competition, you learn how to lose. It's very easy to win. It's much more difficult to lose. Ask me, I'm a total loser. So it really does require much more to face up to the adversities in life. And I know that Sonal has had her share of adversities, and she's been very frank about them in her biography. It's an amazing biography, which I think should be read. She was nervous about having asked me to review her book because she asked my daughter whether I was going to be revealing everything else or keeping it to myself, and whether I'd be severely critical or full of praise. I don't know which role I played, but I think I did express myself honestly about her remarkable achievements as a prodigy in dancing. And I'm hoping, I don't know whether I'll be there, but when you're, say, 20, which is 9 years from now, and it may be reasonable for me, after my triple bypass, to believe that I'll still be there when you're 20 years old. And it's at that stage that I would like to be releasing a mature novel by yourself. Because you have it in you. And what we mustn't see is the suppressing of a great talent at a very young age. There is always the danger, which one must bear in mind, I'm not suggesting you must bear it in mind, but all of us must bear it in mind, that a young sapling need not become a very big tree. And yet, no big tree has existed which wasn't a sapling to begin with. So you've got the talent that is going to propel you to the very top echelon and become like Jhumpa Lahiri, who I think is the role model that you have in giving yourself the name of Jhumpa in the middle of what your parents decided to call you. And I do hope that you will attain the ability and the fame that has come very deservedly to your role model, Jhumpa Lahiri. But I'm sure if you were to talk to her, and I hope you would be able to, I've never succeeded. I've tried to meet her, but I haven't succeeded. But I would recommend that as somebody who has a role model, that your parents find for you the opportunity to meet that brilliant writer. She does live in America, comes to India from time to time, and it would be a very worthwhile experience to put her in her role model's company and learn how to progress from where she's arrived, which is fantastically high, to her true heights, because potential is always greater than the kinetic ability that has been demonstrated. I would also suggest, if I may, who am I to, I can't write a word of fiction. I don't know how to, no, although much of the non-fiction I write, the political writings, are described by my critics as being pure fiction. But I wouldn't know how to write a conversation or how to plot a novel or how to create characters. You've got all that. And therefore, perhaps I'm not entitled to give any advice. But I am aware that if you were to go, your parents were to go, to either the British Council or the American Center, you would be able to find where writing is taught, perhaps in summer schools in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and give yourself the opportunity of being trained by a guru. I don't know whether there are gurus in India in the writing, in the English literature field. I do know that Ruskin Bond, who is also a very old friend of mine from the time when he wrote Room on the Roof, and I think he's about 5 or 6 years older than me. But I used to know him in Dehradun, where I lived and he lived. I know that he is very good at nurturing young talent, and he lives only in Mussoorie, so it's quite easy to get to him. But certainly professionally, writing for a career, and writing whether it's fiction or non-fiction for a career, is taught in these summer schools. And although it costs a certain amount of money, I think that investment would be well worth it if you were to send her to one of these summer schools and then see whether she feels she has benefited from the exercise, and if so, there is a future ahead of her. Also, I find that the reason I have been called onto this stage has absolutely nothing to do with the 9 books I've written, none of which has ever sold. That is that I was in the Foreign Service for 26 years, and she wants to become an IAS officer and perhaps even a Foreign Service officer. Although I have to warn you that when you're a junior in the service, as Sonal has learned, the main job that wives of junior officers and lady junior officers have to do is to make samosas for their bosses' wives' cocktail parties. This is magnificently described in Sonal's biography. So there is that danger, but the upside of it is that we have in the Foreign Service and in the administrative service people who have combined a very successful professional career with writing, and writing that gets recognized. In the IAS, I would particularly mention Upamanyu Chatterjee, who started with something called August, and has continued, is now retired, and he is also, I find, taking workshops. So maybe in addition to Ruskin Bond, you could try and see Upamanyu Chatterjee. And in the Foreign Service, there is an astonishing array of writing talent that I didn't know actually existed until it started getting manifested. And perhaps Navtej Sarna is the best example of a diplomat who became our ambassador to the United States, but has distinguished himself with a number of historical works as also, fictional writing. And he's an extremely pleasant man. Like all Foreign Service officers who's retired, he's got nothing to do and is hoping that somebody will recognize him. I've often said that when you go to the India International Center and you see 3 or 4 morose-looking people, they tend to be Foreign Service officers who are hoping somebody will walk up to them and call them Excellency, because they used to be an Excellency once and are now only X's. So, Navtej is among them, although he's more recently retired, and I know him as an extraordinarily courteous man, and I'm sure he would be able to give you the kind of nurturing that I think is necessary, not in spite of your talent, but because of your talent. I think since you have demonstrated such great ability at such a young age, it is incumbent on yourself for you and your parents to see to it that you get the best nurturing. And please don't be in a hurry to produce your 3rd novel or your 3rd book of short stories. Let that come when it comes, and don't stop it when it comes. But allow the plant some nutrients, some water, some sunshine, some photosynthesis to grow into a tree with a strong trunk and lots of branches and plenty of leaves. And then maybe somebody a few years down the lane will celebrate you as the Sonal Mansingh of Indian literature. For the others, I've sparred very often with Pinaki Mishra, and I'm sure that since you live closer to her than we do, that you will continue to extend your patronage and your good advice to this young lady. And as for the Patras, I suggest you come under the shadow of the nice Patras and try and avoid the awful ones. For the rest, my congratulations to the...
Who I defeated incidentally.
Oh, shabash! I have never heard better use than this, and my heartiest congratulations to you and my deep gratitude. For the rest, I would like to congratulate the parents and the grandfather on how carefully they have brought up this child, how distanced they have kept themselves from her self-development, how they provide the atmosphere in the home for her to be able to do her work, and their lack of any attempt to push her. She's acknowledged that herself. I said that was my final word, but I do have one more final word, and that is to your publishers. I see that you have, in your speech, thanked them profusely for the work that they've done. I think you referred to some Ajay uncle. But if Ajay uncle is sitting in the audience, please be a little more careful about your editing. There are so many little mistakes of spelling, of punctuation, of majuscules being put where minuscule should be there, that it destroys the effect of the book. And so I think you should either get invincible publishers to prove themselves invincible when editing your book, or to find a more professional organization, because your talent deserves the best editing. And while the current editors have done as good a job as they could to present your book to the public, if you were to find, if they were to increase their professionalism, or you were to find a more professional publisher, then perhaps more justice can be done to the enormous effort and the enormous talent that you have put into this interesting little novel, which I'm looking forward to fully reading. I've read enough for it to have grabbed my attention and to make me want to read it rather than speak about it before this audience. Thank you all very much for your patient hearing, and my congratulations and good wishes to this child.
Thank you very much for those very generous and kind words and the very useful suggestions. Coming from you, they mean a lot to all of us here, sir. Thank you once again. I now request Shri Sasmit Patra.
Function at 7:30.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Sasmit Patra ji, please come and say a few words.
Good evening to all. Dr. Sonal Mansingh ji, who has just left, Padma Vibhushan. Shri Manishankar Iyer ji, thank you, sir, for staying back. Shri Pinaki Mishra ji, and our little star for the evening, Anantinee. I don't have much to say. The fact is, it's very overwhelming to see such a bright talent from my home state, Odisha. Were you born in Delhi or Odisha? Odisha. So she's born in Odisha, so I can vouch for more of her. And it's always a privilege and a pleasure to see such a young talent. I wouldn't call her a talent only. I think she's God-gifted. And she's also God-gifted to have parents and a family which has nurtured her, shaped her, which has been by her side, and every day encouraged her. And probably today, as she shines like a star and goes ahead in life, it's a great support to have such a wonderful family. So I think the family deserves a round of applause from us for what they have done. Well, very honestly, I kind of had a look at the book, didn't do a deep reading. I'd look forward to do that. But I found a few nuances which I would like to focus on in the next few minutes. The love between Veera and Samira, two sisters, their brother Rohan, and the delight of moving from Manhattan to where their father gets transferred, and this entire journey from Manhattan to Munnar. And while this transition from Manhattan and their father goes quickly looking, how to really transfer and change and do that, the girls start thinking, how about a cruise? Why go to JFK? Why not go for a cruise? And to be very honest, as I kind of flipped on to a few pages and I came to Royal Eureka, the cruise on which you board. Did you board that? You did. Because the point you wrote, Royal Eureka, in that book, you boarded it. You traveled on Royal Eureka. You went through the shipwreck. You got on to SS Marina. Did you, didn't you? The writer, and of course, I have never written a book. I haven't even half written a book. So I'm in the distinguished presence of Manishankar ji, who's written 9 books, and Anantinee, who's written a second book. So I'm probably least qualified to talk about a book. But the fact remains, the way Anantinee voyaged on through this book, right down from Manhattan to Royal Eureka, to the shipwreck, to SS Marina, and finally to Munnar. And in between, she meets Sid, and the four people who are there, their friendship. I was kind of surprised to see such a young person, Anantinee, all of 12, in fact 11, she's just turned 12, to be able to experience this wide, extensive range of emotions. I believed it used to come with age, that you start experiencing more and more flavors of life. But to be able to do that and do it so deftly, I think Anantinee is truly blessed to be able to experience emotions. And that is very unique. We can experience knowledge. You can experience skills. You can experience wisdom. But to experience emotions in the present day context is extremely challenging at times with the world of changing values. I won't take much time. My speakers have already spoken quite a bit about her. But I believe this book also speaks about the aspirations that lurk in her heart as a writer and as an individual. And I would encourage her, and as Manishankarji said, that give water, give plenty of sunlight, give photosynthesis, let that aspiration grow. There's a gestation period, it will grow, it will blossom. And very honestly today, I feel so proud that Anantinee is from Odisha, and being from Odisha, to come here, usually we talk about child prodigies. Yes, she's of course a child prodigy, we all believe that. With the kind of awards that she's won, I'll never win that much in my lifetime. So all hats to her, in just 11 years she's achieved. But the fact remains that I would urge her, and this is something probably a writer, because though at again the cost of repetition, I must say that I haven't written a book, but I believe every writer should be able to experience the character. Every writer should be able to experience the happiness and the joy, the pain and the agony. But to be able to do that at such a young age, it's frightening to me personally. It shows the depth of understanding she has. And I just pray to God that God continues to bless her and she continues to work on her art, while at the same time allowing herself the space, the room, and the air to grow. Thank you so much for inviting me, and God bless Anantinee.
Thank you, sir. We all know that creative endeavors like writing require an incredible amount of motivation and support. I thank the guests for their uplifting and inspiring words, which will be a great source of strength for Anantinee. Thank you all once again. You have to interact now, no? The session is now open for an interaction with the author. I invite the audience to ask questions, make observations, and share their views with Anantinee. Anantinee, will you like to come on stage here? Okay. All right. Would they like to ask any questions? Actually, I would like to tell about that. Yeah, sure. Why not? Please, would you like to come on stage? No, I'm fine with space. Okay. She's a teacher. All right. So I will would you like to come here?
I'm fine. I've been lucky enough to teach Anantinee for many years now, and I've seen her grow and always very gracious, full of respect. Of course, as you know, she scores very well. I teach her science, and Anantinee has always been one, very good student of mine. So, loads of blessings to you, Anantinee. Do well, and you will do well. Okay? So that's great, and we're very happy to be, part of your entire book ceremony. So it's good. Bless you.
Jhumpa, tell us, who are your favorite authors? Who do you like reading?
As my middle name nickname suggests, I'm a great fan of Jhumpa Lahiri. The Namesake is one of my most favorite books and it's the best I've ever read. The number of books I've read so far. Other than that, I'm a fan of J.K. Rowling, the style of writing with which she can put word thinking into words. I just love the world of Harry Potter. Other than that, Sudha Murthy, Ruskin Bond, there are numerous writers. I get a new favorite every day. But above all, I think more than the writers, I'm a fan of the way they write, of their style of putting words into feelings and converting each feeling into a word. So I think J.K. Rowling, Ruskin Bond, Sudha Murthy are top three of the favorite list.
I call you Pili because that's my favorite name for you. Most of you don't know that her pet name is Pili, but I like that name very much. But today I will call you as Anantinee. Congratulations for this. And there were a few suggestions which came from the guests and from the, so where they said that you must go a little slow and you must try to enjoy life, and that your next book should be somewhere when you have experienced your teens. How are you going to handle this? Or are you going to take it seriously, or are you going to, give it a thought? You have every right to give it a thought, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a thought, and yes, I'm going to give it time to be a little slow now, and now it's a time where a lot of things will shift and bring out new things to me. So I don't schedule anything when it comes to writing. It just comes. It's not like today I write 500 words, and maybe tomorrow I write 300 words. I may write 1,000 today and 0 tomorrow. There's nothing like that. And yes, I will go at my pace, my speed. Probably I'll continue writing poems, short stories, but not to release a book just for my own satisfaction. As if I don't keep touch with the passion, it may get rusted up.
It's just an observation that I've made at the last release. A lot of people observe you. I'm sure most of the people who came here read the book once, didn't see the personality. And there were a few more children there. And I could see the author running around with them, playing in, upscape and all of that. And I said, here's an author who's serious about her writing, but just like the way every child does. So I don't know. I think we should see more of the child. I don't see her very often. I see her on occasions such as this. But I think she has the child in her. So I don't think she's missing one of that. What do you say to that?
Yes, there is a child in me. I think there is innocence in me. It should in every child. This is the age where that innocence should show on your face. This is the age when you should enjoy the most and focus on enjoying childhood. As
What
this
games do you like playing?
Sorry?
What games do you like playing?
I prefer indoor games or outdoor games, but at school always in PT period you can just go out to the fields and start playing basketball, football. But at home I like playing chess or maybe Ludo, snakes and ladders.
Who do you play chess with?
I play chess with Nanu or Baba.
Piano playing?
Yeah, I love playing the piano as well. I learned Kathak.
Tell us about your future plan.
There is, as I said, there is no plan my name. I'll continue to improve myself. There's no plan, it just will happen.
I am her grandfather, Subhash Patil, and last time when we published the first book, I had given it 7,000 rupees and promised that the next time it will go in a geometrical progress. That is 7 × 7, 49,000. But the quantum of space that in publishing her books, I found 1 year after there is a book. So I thought why not have an arithmetical problem. So 7 plus 7, 14,000 a check which will be given to women.
When do you feel like writing? In what circumstances? Or when do you feel not to write?
What is it?
Writing.
I love writing after a hectic
Doors
shift.
and doors. We all become old. You are so young.
I love the time when I just finish all those tedious amount of homework and
So do
self-study.
you write as per a timetable type of thing? Every day, some hours.
No timetable. So I finish my homework at around 9 and then I just like to sit with the laptop and write a few sentences. It's like a booster. You know, if your energy is gone and you open the laptop and you start typing, it's just that it's sort of an energy starts coming back. It's energy boost to you. And when I don't feel like writing, there is no such time, but I like to say when after coming from school, the time between around 2 to 7, I don't feel like writing
Did
that.
you get an internal flash sort of thing? So you have to sit down and start writing it out. You get that type of thing?
Of course,
What made you to choose this title? This Kerala, Munnar. How did you come to know about Munnar and all, you know? It's a not very popular name. I am from Kerala, that is I was wondering.
Why Manhattan?
Manhattan to Munnar because the story which shows the journey of Veera, it starts from Manhattan, the city she has called home since many years, and it ends, her journey which are displayed in the book ends in Munnar, where she looks at the rising sun, forgetting all her past troubles and worries and all her entire life from Manhattan to New Delhi to Munnar. It's a place where she finally finds, I'd say, complete solitude as well as satisfaction from all the journey that she has made from Manhattan to New Delhi to Munnar. So the title is from her beginning, Manhattan, to the end of the book, which is Munnar.
And ending story, we were in Manhattan. She was there. All of a sudden, last year I said, I want to go Munnar. So we went, because she feels sick. But we went to Mutti, then what is that place? Then she saw the whole flowers.
No, I was just wondering. Do you need to visit Manhattan or Munnar to write about Manhattan? No, I am asking a theoretical question. Do you need to visit or you can write a success?
It depends on
नहीं तुम्हारे जैसे बहुत बढ़िया है
Yeah, that's just increased my knowledge and curiosity because to writing about the business. It's a very common name to everyone, you know. Most of the people have a dream place to go and buy a penthouse apartment in Manhattan. Munnar is unusual. It's a small place in Kerala, and that's why it grabbed my attention. From a big shot city to a small shot.
That flower, Munnar flower, what is that?
That's the Neela Kurunji.
Neel Kurunji, yeah. Neel Kurunji.
7,000 रुपया दिया तो वो ऑफिस का पैसा Thank you so much.
Punam, thank the.
Thank us. Thank us.
Thank you.
ceremony. I thank each one of you for being able to make time to be a part of this event. Your support and good wishes
Indeed invaluable to Anantinee. I cannot help but make a mention of the parents, Nayantara and Suranjit. Navigating life with a budding author can be difficult, especially when your 11-year-old tells you that she cannot come for dinner because she is revising her novel. Not only that, striking a balance between the expectation of being endlessly supportive to being told that showing too much interest is uncool is not easy. A round of applause for the parents for being a rock for Anantinee. So thank you all once again, and I request all of you to stay back for dinner. The book signing is taking place near the door of this hall, so please have a look at the book as well. And the dinner is on this side, on the opposite side in a hall here. So you are all invited to please join for dinner. Thank you once again. Thank you for being here. Not at all. I hope it met your